It doesn't matter if it's 2023 or 1903. A relationship is based on principles, not the culture.
What's up, YouTube? My name is Lexi. Welcome to my channel. In tonight's conversation, you see what I did there. But no, in today's video, I'm going to be literally talking about the end of the infamous Tonight Conversation podcast, the live tour, Ace Metaphor, Keita Rose, this whole situation that's going on with it. We're in a day and age where anybody could just pick up a microphone and start giving you love advice, and you really need to have discernment in terms of who you are listening to. So I really just want to give my thoughts, kind of somewhat recap what Keita blew up, and just Tony Gaskins. Y'all owe Tony Gaskins a huge apology because he tried to warn y'all that this man is fraudulent. If you haven't already, please subscribe if you like my vibe. Now, without further ado, go grab your tea, grab your snacks, grab your coffee, grab whatever's gonna make you comfortable as you are listening to me, because baby, I got a lot to say. So let's get right on into the video. So tonight's conversation isn't necessarily ending, but the core group that we've been able to follow over a number of years when it comes to this particular live show, they are splitting apart. We have Keita Rose leaving, we have Kitty Rose leaving, we also have Randy Rosario leaving, and Chip Fontaine leaving. So these are pretty much the core people that a lot of guests do show up to support and endorse. Ace Metaphor is actually not the draw. Like, he is the creator of it, but he's not necessarily the person that everybody's just like, man, I gotta go and see Ace.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
It was a quiet Wednesday afternoon last week, and Keita Rose just came up here and she exposed all of the very terrible business practices that Ace has been conducting behind the scenes in order to make this podcast work.
Let's try to.
Before we could even address Keita Rose, we have to back it up and go into Ace Metaphor's origin story. We have to very much so bring a lot of focus to the type of person that Ace Metaphor is. Ace Metaphor is not a person of integrity. Ace Metaphor is a manipulator. He is a narcissist, a covert narcissist, to be totally honest. And if you have ever dealt with a narcissist, you will understand full-heartedly why Keita Rose was exploding the way that she was exploding. Ace is somebody who's going to use your insecurities against you. And Ace is dangerous because not only has he done that with just his personal relationships or whatever, he's also a very intelligent man who was able to weaponize your insecurities and make a lucrative business on that.
He used to say things like, you're not going to be aesthetically pleasing, or are you working on your weight, Keita?
Am I surprised that tonight's conversation is ending? Absolutely not. I'm not. I think, you know, there was a point in time where I was seeing a lot more of their clips online. And I don't know if I don't see it anymore because I don't follow Ace. The panel is created so that they can deliver advice or, you know, guidance or whatever for people who might have some questions in terms of their own romantic dating life, because everybody wants to have a connection, everybody wants to be dating, everybody wants to find their person, but honestly, we're in a day and age where people just suck at it. So people come to the show and they're asking their questions, and you know, some of the questions were super good, and a lot of the clips or whatever, some of the clips, they had more heartfelt, really meaningful messages, things that you could chew on and digest and hear and take into your relationship and whatnot. And other clips were just salacious, like people really got dressed. They put on their good church hat. They put on their good church shoes. And they came down to that podcast asking about, does he like me more than his girlfriend? Oh, is he cheating on me when he hasn't talked to me? And so, like, just, these are just like random examples, but like, there were some stupid questions that were asked to this panel. And in addition to the clips, I also personally went to the show. I went to the show last year. I remember being in the audience of the show, and I was excited to kind of see the cast, because in the clips you see them, they're very like jovial, they're very like family kind of oriented, like they have a good banter with each other, a good rapport with each other. So I was looking forward to kind of seeing that interaction in person and how that actually goes. But actually being seated in the arena with the cast and how the production is actually produced, it actually was a very eye-opening, very like, oh, this is what it is. I thought it would be an experience, at least something where I could have some kind of insight given, or something where I could like mull over or think about, or to have some kind of new perspective, something fresh to consider. And that was absolutely just not the case. There was definitely a lot of emphasis for everybody to go and get the card game. The chemistry of the cast just felt extremely off. And then I remember sitting down in the audience and I'm listening to some of the questions, and I had to ask, I was just like, are these real questions? Are these things that people can't just like, you know, use common sense to decipher? After experiencing the show in person, I really was just like, I'm good off of this. Let's be honest. Relationships, relationship gurus, relationship content, like a lot of that has been a very lucrative business since like for like the past, what, let's call it from like the mid 2010s or whatever. Run that by you again. It's been a lucrative business. Your heartbreaks have been making people money. Your heartbreak, your confusion, your sense of brokenness and whatnot has been able to be monetized by people with a social media platform. Everybody's looking to have a wonderful relationship. Everybody wants to know the secret sauce to a happy marriage, a happy life, a happy relationship. Like everybody wants to know how to make it work. But because of that like eagerness to find that out, a lot of people are able to kind of prey on that, particularly in 2020. Like in 2020, I don't know what happened. Everybody just went to Best Buy and wherever, and they just decided, hey, I'm just going to buy up all the microphones. I am going to get a camera, and I am going to be on the internet, and I am going to be spewing out relationship advice. Qualified or unqualified, they were just out here spewing out their information to people and gaining a following, and all of these things really changed the trajectory of dating. For example, Kevin Samuels. I strongly disliked that man. And the thing about Kevin Samuels that I hated the most is the fact that he actually originally started out being somebody of dignity, somebody who was actually a respectable character, and then he morphed into this version of himself that he knew he had to become, because he said it himself, like, if I were to sit down here and talk badly about women, if I were to sit down here and to, you know, put women down or whatever, he would become bigger in the YouTube space, which he did. You know, a lot of men, angry men, bitter men, men who weren't able to thrive in the dating world, they were all getting their pitchforks and they had their godfather to sit down here and affirm that women are crazy and da-da-da-da-da. This man was divorced 3 times. 3 times. And he had the audacity to turn on a camera and call him and give relationship advice. I don't know if any of you dated anybody who listened to that kind of stuff, but baby, if you came across a Kevin Samuelite, the trauma, the compensation that we are owed. There are numerous reasons as to why the dating market has become so confusing and so awful. You know, we have issues like the music, first and foremost. I will never forgive y'all for what y'all did to R&B. Back in the day, you used to hear a song and it used to just make you feel like, damn, like I can't wait to be in love. I can't wait to feel that way about somebody or whatever. The music where men are pretty much degrading women and women are over here endorsing modern day prostitution, you know, and that's just another video for another day. You have people who are out here holding on to past hurts, just, god damn it, this girl broke my heart down in 8th grade and I've never been able to see women the same ever since, you know. People that were betrayed and they just can't really seem to do the healing work to move past a certain level of betrayal that they've experienced. Or you have other factors like people just not wanting to be vulnerable. People fear, you know, people having the fear of their vulnerability being used against them. We also have Me Too. Me Too is also another video for another day. We have this whole flip reversal of men just not really knowing how to approach, what to say, how to be mannerable anymore, like how to actually put themselves forward, because sometimes they'll turn around and tell you, oh, like, you know, I'm complimenting you, but I don't want to get Me Too'd and stuff like that. We have these gender wars, these unrealistic standards. The men are just against the women are against the women are out here burning their bras, and the men are out here drawing pitchforks to crucify women and their bad behavior. I don't know how exactly it is that we are bridging community between one another. Lastly, we have social media. We have social media in terms of these gurus. Social media promotes unrealistic standards, and also it just promotes people who are narcissists and who are liars and who are able to you know, be chameleons or whatever based off of what is needed, based on who is listening to their content. So since anybody could just about get online and amass a huge following, this is how we come to Ace Metaphor. Ace Metaphor, I will be remiss to not talk about the fact that Ace Metaphor is the student of Derrick Jackson. So I'm just gonna keep that in mind for later on in the video. In 2023, Tony Gaskins did an interview, and he was being interviewed with Hardly Initiated, and he actually was addressing this pop-up of so many relationship coaches who are, you know, becoming more infamous nowadays, and he named Ace Metaphor. So Ace Metaphor hopped into that chat, and they pretty much were able to debate each other, and that conversation, it aged like fine wine. Before Derrick Jackson, there was Tony Gaskins. Tony Gaskins was in the era before social media. He had made some bad life decisions back in the day, but he pretty much reformed, changed his life, turned his life over to God, got married, and he was really just doing a lot of, you know, he was putting himself out there in the space of relationships. You know, he's one of the most sought after life coaches. He is married. There is proof to the pudding when it comes to Tony Gaskins. He's been married for 17 years. And I'm not saying that just because you are married, it means that you are just the most qualified person. Listen, people get married every day. And some people get married to Pookie and Ray Ray down the street and want to give relationship advice. No, if your quality of your marriage is not something that I'd like to emulate, I'm really not trying to listen to a lot of your advice. Tony Gaskins, the fact that he has been married and married for 17 years and in the space for so long, before social media, he was out here on the ground, doing the groundwork, really trying to preach, basically enforcing the need for standards. I just want to bring back a clip that he said about Ace Metaphor in terms of the purpose of relationships.
Let me ask you this. What is the purpose of dating?
It depends on who you asking. My purpose, if you ask me specifically,
in the scope of society, in the scope of family, what is the purpose of dating?
For some people, for a large percentage of the people, the scope of dating, if you're being intentional, is to find a husband or wife.
Correct. So,
but let me ask you this question, a follow-up question. Is that the reason why everyone dates?
Is that the reason
why everybody dates? Is that the reason?
But what I'm saying is we shouldn't promote what the devil doing. We shouldn't promote what is disadvantageous. So if someone is dating for sex, if someone is dating for fun, us as people with a platform should be promoting what is going to benefit society, not what is going to confuse society.
What I want to particularly focus on is the fact that in this one clip alone, we are already seeing that Ace Metaphor is not a man of integrity. And that's important because, as I said, this was a student of Derrick Jackson. Derrick Jackson is a disgraced relationship guru. I remember back in the day, like, probably like my college era or whatever, I remember Derrick Jackson, you know, in his car, driving aimlessly to God knows where. And he was just over here spewing all kinds of good, positive things about women. Just, you know, take care of your heart and all this like positive affirmations. And me, little dumb me, how lovely! And it's not to say like these are things that you don't know, but it was nice hearing it from another man because it's just like, you know, this is what you look for in a partner. And I remember just, you know, when you was dating your person or whatever, you'd be like, you see, this is what I'm talking about right here. And your partner turn around looking at you just like, that man is lying to you. That's not even a real man. Don't show me nothing from Derrick Jackson, da-da-da-da-da. And men just had this picker and they just sense that this guy is over here spewing out nonsense, that he's not being honest, he's not being real, and all he's doing is pandering. Lo and behold and lo, this man was married, and I had no idea that this man was married. It comes out that he's married, it comes out that he's been cheating on his wife, it turns out that he's just been basically extremely fraudulent. At the same time that Derrick Jackson's on tour, Derrick Jackson is coming up with all these things. Ace Metaphor is right under him. So these two are on tour together. He's learning all the tips in the trade, you know, from Derrick Jackson.
He used to be on tour with, who's that?
I remember, I don't know if I could find the clip or whatever. If I could find the clip, I'll insert it over here. But like, Ace Metaphor got on his soapbox and he said, I am nothing like Derrick Jackson, you could trust me. I'm safe, you know? Ace metaphor was like that nice guy effect. He wasn't as conventionally attractive as the Derrick Jackson and whatnot, but he was like another guy that was also, you know, into poetry. I think he was doing like poetry slams and whatnot back in the day. And he was also in the idea of like love and promoting like women's confidence. As Derrick Jackson is going down, Ace pretty much filled the spot. He filled the spot, and Ace became more lucrative. The card game that he has, the Tonight's Conversations card game, that was an idea of Derrick Jackson. So Derrick Jackson is the one who came up with it, but Ace was just a better marketer.
So one of the products sold on tour that made the tour and made him so lucrative is his card game. But word on the curb, allegedly is this was not his idea. A little birdie told me that the card game was his idea, but he just didn't know how to market it right. Good thing Mojo Jojo is a master marketer. Ooh.
And for a long time, you know, Ace did appear to be the more genuine option of the two. However, as Tonight's Conversation starts to build and become more infamous and become more, you know, well known, and he just becomes like this, you know, the face of the whole thing, you started to see Ace change and develop. And I think that's when I unfollowed him, because I was just like, well, you started out one way and now you are coming over here with your big muscles, big rip, da 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 da. That's one. I was just like, you change your appearance. And at first I was just like, you know, take care of yourself. You're getting healthy, cool, no problem. But I think later on it was more so just like, okay, well, you're telling us all these things or whatever, but I do kind of want to see who is your partner.
I'm in a committed relationship.
You sure?
I'm working.
Nikita also exposed that Ace was not faithful to his girlfriend. Ace, at a point in time, Ace actually did say that he had a girlfriend, he was in a relationship, whatever. However, that lady was never shown. That lady was never she was never on an Instagram picture. Like, we never knew anything about this girl. I understand being private. I'm a very private person myself. However, as a relationship coach, a relationship guru, and if you're doing this for the right reasons and whatnot, you want to be able to show proof of what it is that you're marketing and letting people know that, hey, like, you know, have these conversations. I was able to find this person who is amazing for me. Why was the public denied access to your particular relationship, you know? So it's more so because you want to appear single. You want to appear as somebody who is open and available or whatever. Or play the whole role of, I haven't found the right person yet. You know, you're more appealing to other people when you are just, you know, when you come off as single.
And this is where I learned that cheating on your significant other or your spouse doesn't only hurt your significant other, but it really makes everybody around the situation feel uncomfortable. Because as I'm speaking to these ladies, his girl comes up and says, well, what about Mojo Jojo? You're saying he's faithful. What about him? So I would like to take a poll. If you knew that your boss was unfaithful and at the company Christmas party, his wife asks you, what are you going to say? Are you going to tell her the truth, or are you going to say, yeah, he's absolutely faithful. He's just like the rest of them. He's doing good. Well, if your answer was not the latter one, because mine was, I looked at her right in her face and I was like, he is faithful. Yeah, he really loves you. I didn't know what else to say. I did not want to lose my job.
She also exposed that sometimes he would give advice that sounded very lopsided or very not helpful in any type of way, shape, or form.
I'm starting to get irritated at Mojo Jojo and the things he would say on stage, especially like if you're in an otherwise healthy and happy marriage, and he decides to cheat on you, your husband decides to cheat on you, you shouldn't leave, because otherwise, other than that, you were happy. Well, clearly we weren't happy because I'm getting cheated on. So that's the stuff that I would say.
And very much so correct. If you listen here, if you cheat on me, I'm out. We are not dealing, we're not fixing, we're not healing anything. I am leaving. It's okay. You wanted to make your bed, go lie in it. Mind you, this is the same guy who's over here talking about value your heart. You are so special. You're this, you're that. So if I'm so special, why would I sit down here and allow some man to go cheat on me and I go back to the situation? What are you saying, Ace? So it's these clear indicators of just somebody who was in the space for the wrong reason. I feel that a lot of people listen to Tony Gaskins' perspective on relationships, and a lot of them felt like he was being unrealistic, or he was being judgmental, or he was just doing too much, or he was coming down too hard on Ace metaphor because of what Ace represents.
Because where God bring clarity, the devil bring confusion. All this is
there you go again, bro.
More people. And so I stand on what I stand on, bro. I draw a line in the sand. You trying to placate to everybody and their mama. I don't care about what this lifestyle, that lifestyle. I'm focused on what's better for the people.
You have to understand that Tony Gaskins is a man who has been passionate about relationships. Like, he's actually in the business of relationships because he wants to see happy, healthy, transformative relationships. Like, that is his purpose. So to imagine you're in purpose and you're doing something that you believe is the right thing to do, and all of a sudden you're seeing other people who have more undermined, like, who have more manipulative or more means to an end or more sinister intentions to do something on the flip side of your passion.
Y'all don't know that the whole reason I even bothered to get famous on a podcast was to drop this mixtape.
You know, for every one person that's dating to try to find marriage, there's 3 or 4 people dating just to find themselves. There's 4 or 5 people dating in an experimental way. There's 6 or 7 people dating just to distract themselves from a heartbreak. So not everybody that's out here dating is dating to be married.
Instead of people just, being able to self-actualize or being able to really take time to be with self, to really reflect on things that went wrong in their relationships, a lot of people just have this idea of, I'm going to get with this person, or I'm going to use this person, or I'm going to do XYZ with this person. There are lasting ramifications for using people in that way. Like, these people are coming into his space and they're promoting their ways of chaos. They're promoting things that don't actually advance relationships. They actually don't help people grow to be better versions of themselves. Tony is telling him, like, it's very irresponsible of you as a person who has this humongous following to use your platform to therefore placate into things that you know is wrong.
We need to be there to say, hey, you should not be dating to heal. You should not be dating to just hook up because you are having sexually transmitted diseases. Not everybody want to do half of the things right, but we don't need to give them a platform for the sake of let's let everybody speak when they speaking from their mess. It's a meaningless back and forth conversation that does not bring a solution, that does not help us build families, that does not help us better raise children, that does not help us climb the ladder as a people, as a group who are struggling economically, struggling relationally, struggling in every way.
So now fast forward, we are now in 2025. Keita Rose takes to her Instagram and she basically is blowing up Ace's character. Everything that I kind of suspected about Ace, from before and also from going to the show was all confirmed.
The tour, self-funded.
From money you stole.
Self-promoted.
Using our pixels.
We find out that he hasn't been paying her properly.
We've never gotten any information on how much the tour, the app, the clips, the YouTube, the anything have ever made. We've never gotten information on it. The only time we can piece information together is when he's bragging. I got big money. I wipe my ass with 50,000. I make $500,000 a weekend. That's the only time we can kind of say, hey, because I remember something wasn't right with my money, though.
He's a misogynist. He doesn't like to work with women. He's over here dealing with the husbands and, like, the boyfriends, etc. of his cast, which is already just like, why would anybody be conducting principles like that?
Ace didn't like talking to women. He said that women don't quite get it. They don't quite get it. And it's easier to talk to the men, even if the men don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
She lets us know that their contracts were switched up all the time.
Apparently, after I signed the contract, he changed things up to where we had to buy our own plane tickets. We had to buy our own hotels, and there were no more rental cars. All that used to be given to us, now it's taken away.
You're not even trying to necessarily help out your people. But then Six the Goddess, when she was coming out to the pod, like, he basically flew her out and covered over her expenses. So it's like you're picking and choosing. And the people who are actually on this pod who are making you lucrative, who are making you into anything that you are, those are not the people who you're actually taking care of. She reveals the fact that, you know, if you were in business with Ace, like, you couldn't disagree with him. You can't sit down here and say anything in defense of yourself, because Rico used to also be a castmate of the Tonight's Conversation, but basically they got into a squabble, and once that happened, Rico was fired.
But when you do challenge him, you're gonna get fired. It's gonna be your last day. But
she said that the gentleman that was there before TC, he had a very large following, but then once he lost his platform, Ace pretty much just pulled the rug under his feet and was just like, well, you're no longer valuable and you have to leave.
He had millions of followers, but he lost his page. And when he lost his page, Mojo Jojo said, you're no longer valuable. Goodbye. Goodbye.
And on top of that, the man who is over here just talking about love, this man was over here using his platform to gain access to women. So he was having intimate sexual relationships with his staff. He was having sexual relationships with people who was just going to the show.
Women that he would sleep with on tour, he would sleep with, you know, his assistants.
Who are you women who are just going to the show and y'all over here getting y'all cheeks clapped by Ace Metaphor? Like, please, please, please. And for Keita, I definitely applaud her, because it's not easy to get up and speak against somebody who has a certain perception or whatever. It's not easy to come out and call out your abuser.
I stand alone because I can stand alone. I don't need anybody to say I left because of, or I believe her, or I had these kind of conversations. All I need people to do is, when I'm lying, stop me.
She's basically calling him out for financial abuse. The fact that she spoke out, other people started to reach out to her, and they also were giving their terrible accounts of Ace. And in the last segment of the whole debacle that's going on with Ace Metaphor, he tried to record her and essentially just say, like, you know, she was extorting me and she's this and she's that, painting Keita out to be somebody who she's not. And I'm just like, this is narcissist to the T. And all he did essentially was just really doubling down and triple down on the fact that he is just not somebody who needs to be trusted. Nobody's trying to extort you. And then later on that night, Keita also released her version of the conversation. I listened to the recordings and I basically did not pick up any vibes that Keita was over here just like, pay me this money. But it's just, that is what a narcissist is going to do. A narcissist is going to play the victim role. A narcissist is going to try to make you believe that everybody's out to get them and there's just this like great people and they're this and they're that. But like, that's not really what's happening. Aside from her issues with Ace Metaphor, she's also exposing Kitty Rose. Now, Kitty Rose is one of the women that I actually was really fond of. Like, I loved watching her clips. I thought she had a very level head. I thought she was very like, you know, very cerebral. We all of a sudden are getting exposed to this side of Kitty that, you know, was very alarming to hear. Basically, Kitty is somebody who is pitting people against each other. So she basically ensued like a disagreement between Randy and Keita because Keita's address had gotten leaked. And she was saying how, oh, like Randy did that, and these two, like, they were like really, really good friends, like off of the panel and whatnot. And she was able to kind of manipulate that situation so that they go their separate ways. She is revealing like the true nature of Kitty, that she doesn't really like carry herself or conduct herself the way that she comes off on the pod. And she basically made the work environment like a hostile situation. The deeper conversation that I want to have is just about these relationship gurus in general. These people who are coming on these platforms. You know, Miss Cheyenne Bryant, she got really famous because of the clip that she had her own like TV history or whatever. But as of late, she really got back in circulation after that moment that she had with Cam Newton. Now, what she said to Cam Newton, valid. However, after that, we just start to see her in more and more spaces. She did certain things that were not professional. I think the two examples was like when she went on the Breakfast Club and she was talking about Cam and Jazzy Brown. If you're a licensed, you know, doctor or whatever, you are not going to spew out people's personal information or private conversations that they're having with you. She appeared on the podcast with Pastor Jamal Bryant, and she was over here giving advice, talking about, oh, you can be in the tub with your, like, the person who you love, and you could just take a bath together and just be naked, and we don't have sex or nothing like that.
Taking a bath together. No sex. because you both have what the Bible says marriage requires, discipline.
Don't take that bath until y'all get that ring
Till
on
you
there.
get that
Girl, bye. That is not good advice to be giving anybody or whatever. First of all, you're not about to sit down here and test the waters. I don't want anybody to test the waters that way, because if we're supposed to be people in Christ and we're supposed to be doing this the whole Christian way, no, we're not going to just walk into the layer of temptation or whatever. And even if you're not doing it the Christian way, I'm not about to sit down here and play myself and act like I'm going to sit down here and be with this man that I love and we're just going to sit down here and take a bath together. Like, and we're not going to do anything. Like, no. Recently we had that whole ISIS situation. She was over here online, the trophy wife, being a gold digger. She's a follower of like Shira 7. All these people who are online just spewing this rhetoric that basically just enables the brokenness of society. Her platform is there to just, you know, use men and use them for what they got and yada yada yada. And I'm not sitting down here telling you to just be with somebody that ain't got no materials, nothing going for themselves or whatever. But I am saying that we need to put more emphasis on who the person is and not just what you can allegedly like get out of that person just because they have a certain amount of money. Who cares if they have a certain amount of money? Does that matter when at the end of the night they're beating on you, or like they're, you know, they're cheating on you, or they're doing XYZ? Like, you're just staying there just because, like, that person has no respect for you. What's the point? What is the point of me selling my soul for that? I very much so believe in wise counsel. If I'm telling you about relationship, but I know that who you are, and I know that you're a person of like, you make sound decisions and whatnot, I could listen to your advice and take it and not sit down here and just be like, well, you're disqualified just because you're single or something like that. Like, I want to hear fair counsel. I want to know something. I want to hear something that's balanced. I want to hear something that doesn't sound like I'm being gaslit to believe that I'm correct in every single decision that I'm making in regards to my relationship. You know, like I said, and I said in the beginning, just because you are in a relationship, people get in relationships every day and they'll be misaligned. People be in relationships every day and they're sitting down here going through all kind of craziness behind the scenes. Like, people get in relationships, and that just because you were with somebody, that is no feat and that is no accomplishment. When you see relationships that are just like God sent, or when you see relationships that just, I don't know, it's such a rarity, but it's just like when you see relationships where it's just like, no, God put those two people together, that is a feat. That's a relationship that I feel like I want to hear counsel from. That's a relationship where I'm just like, nah, like, you guys figured out the secret sauce. That is what I have for this video. Drop down in the comments and let me know your thoughts about this whole saga. Let me know what you think about everything that went down. Did you believe that tonight's conversations was going to be here for a long time? Like, let me know how you feel about everything. So I will talk to you in the next video. Definitely give me a like, share, subscribe. I hope you had fun listening to me, and I will see you in the next video. Mwah. Take care.